dice. You never know if it could change your life. Take a chance, you're neither wrong or right. You never know if you don't roll them dice. You better roll them dice. You never know if it could change your life.
Special bulletin from Multiverse News Network. This just in at D&D Direct this month, Wizards of the Coast announces a new Dragonlance board game and adventure, as well as a Spelljammer reboot. That's right, folks, you heard it here first. Spelljammer confirmed. Plus, the Dungeons & Dragons movie has a title. Look for Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves next year. And that's not all. Wizards has also previewed a new adventure, Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel, and a starter set called Dragons of Stormwreck Isle. Finally, what does it mean when Hasbro CEO Chris Cox says that the Dungeons & Dragons rule set can be applied to more brands and intellectual properties? Stay tuned for all this and more on MNN, the Multiverse News Network.
Don't forget to buy Warforged bonds, I guess.
That's right. Buy Warforged bonds today. Big
the
news
week. Is on the run as boys in blue march forward. Oh well, boy. Thanks for that, Rob.
You're welcome.
It's news time.
It's news time. It's the newsroom. It's the news. We're doing the news.
And I'm Dungeon Master Woodward, and
I'm DM Bernstein, and this is Dungeon Master of None. We're talking news. We're James Newsroom from the critically acclaimed HBO limited series Newsroom. Just as good as The West Wing, and just as applicable.
Why'd you have to bring that up? Now we have to redo our intro as Jeff Newsroom's epic speech, but it's like
speech,
you think Dungeons and Dragons is the best system in the world? It's rated number 10 in player resurrections.
There are more Call of Cthulhu players in Japan than there are Dungeons & Dragons players in the entire West Coast. Anyway, I don't know. We were not doing that. It's not a fun joke. But yeah, no, we got a lot of news to talk about, and
yeah, Spelljammer confirmed.
Confirmed.
I'm as happy as an auto gnome in a cartwheeler or whatever.
I'm as pleased as a mind flayer spawn in a puddle of neuro goo. It's just it couldn't be happier. It wasn't a huge surprise, but we've had the rug pulled out from under us more than once by Wizards, so I'm glad that it's actually happening. We'll get into the details, but yeah, there's Spelljammer, there's Dragonlance.
I've got my original box set out. I'm playing with my little ship miniatures by myself in my room.
There's
little pew pew noises at each other.
New adventure, new starter set, and most exciting of all, there's talk of expanding the brand,
right.
And we'll have to talk about what that means.
And Dragonlance, we'll have to save that for the end. But okay, let's talk about, because it's my favorite. It's my show, Rob.
It's your show. It's your show. You can talk about Spelljammer if you want to.
All right, I love Spelljammer. Everyone knows I love Spelljammer. I'm excited for this. I'm excited for the return of a classic format. The Holy Box set. We haven't had one of these that isn't some sort of, I don't know, special thing for something that isn't a campaign setting, which I think is what it works best for in a very long time. I have no idea how long, but it's been a long time. So you get like 3 books, right? A rule book with the ship info, like an adventure that's divided into 12 episodes. Seems like they're doing some kind of Buck Rogers cliffhanger type thing.
Love that.
And then
Flash
a monster
Gordon
book
type of thing.
Yeah, Flash Gordon. Yeah.
The Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon. We're all in the same place.
Are they
it's
different,
also
or they're the same?
They are different, but they're same
Okay,
vibes. Strong vibe overlap. It's also reasonably priced. 3 books for $70. I am glad to see it. I was a little concerned, inflation. They've been talking about raising prices. I was a little worried that they were going to try to, take us nerds for all we're worth. But that is a reasonable price point for a box set. I'm going to get this one. I'm going to get this one sight unseen. I
Yep.
do that with every Wizards book. Sorry, it's not like that big of a deal, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah. You're gonna do it without complaining this time.
I'm gonna do it without griping. Yes, that's exactly right.
No belly aching on this hammer ship as we head into the Astral Sea. So it seems like they made a couple interesting changes to Spelljammer. Just to talk about some of the details. Gone is the Phlostian, right? So that weird hangover of their idea that we're gonna use like Aristotelian like cosmology.
Right.
So there's no Phlostian. Apparently, when you just sail far enough away from a system, you transition from, actual vacuum space, wild space, into the astral sea, the plane we know and love with all the Githyanki and other things like that, dead gods floating around.
Listeners,
so,
wait.
What do you think about that?
I've never said this word out loud. I always thought it was Phlogiston, but Phlostian.
It is. You're right.
No, I might not be. I straight up don't know. It's a Greek word. Anyway, but they got rid of that. Now it's more like I don't know. I kind of liked the weird Aristotelian space-time thing. I thought it was like it's magic and weird. Let's just like lean into it. You're traveling through the ether, but that's fine. Whatever. That might have been too weird in the focus group testing.
The interesting thing about the Phlostian, whatever it is that it allowed you to map out, if you wanted to, how different worlds connected in kind of a hyperlane network.
Right.
It was also like kind of stupid in that like there was a lot of ways to kill yourself. I don't know. That was kind of a feature.
There were a lot of rules about how you could die in the in-between spaces, which I guess is fun if that's the type of game that you want to play, but
Well, that's what we lost. Here's what we gained. I think the Astral Sea is interesting. So you don't age there, right?
Right.
On the astral plane, there's often, other travelers there, people like, vibing on the astral plane, if you were.
Yep.
And there's a bunch of, there's a lot of interesting threats in that, like, the Githyanki live there. They've got their whole city there. And there are basically planes or portals, at least in the traditional description of the Astral Sea, like swirls of color that are portals to every plane in the multiverse, right? Because the astral plane is kind of the plane behind it all.
Right.
So if you want to combine Spelljammer with a more plane hoppy, like if you want to take your ship to hell, it facilitates that a lot more easily than Spelljammer did. So I kind of like that.
I kind of like it too. They've been using this Astral Sea as sort of like a unifying plane theory for the whole multiverse, and I'm okay with that.
It's been there since Planescape, since second edition.
I like that. There's things living out there. You don't age. I can work with that. I'm not mad about this change for spelljamming.
It makes sense if you have to have some kind of magic hyperspace. I think it works okay. I do like when we get to our Starfinder review. Starfinder has a really cool magic hyperspace. It's called the Drift.
Yeah,
and,
I like Starfinder's put a lot of thought into this, and I'm excited to talk about it at some point.
Which kind of copying someone's homework. So the cool thing about the Drift in the Starfinder setting is that it's a plane like created by like the birth of a new god, and it ripped chunks out of everything in the multiverse. So it's just kind of a sandbox for the dungeon master. Do you want to put a cool encounter as players travel from system to system? Put whatever the fuck you want here. And the Astral Sea is kind of like that, right? In that there are bits, because it has connections to every fucking plane, there are bits and pieces of every fucking plane kind of around it. So, some homework copying, but it's some good homework to copy.
Yeah. No, I like it. I'm glad they borrowed from that. So the 3 books are Spelljammer Adventures in Space, which is our rule book.
We got our new player races, and assuming our ship rules, which will nowhere near be as good as the ones you and I cooked up over on Patreon.
They're good rules, folks. Check them out. Patreon.com/Dungeon Master of None for all of your ship combat needs. Boo's Astral Menagerie is our second book, and I wonder, I feel like maybe somebody might be mad, but I personally am delighted that my very favorite miniature giant space hamster from Baldur's Gate has gotten his own book. I think that's delightful. It makes me happy. I can't wait to see what's in it. Actually, we gotta look at some of the new creatures, and they're pretty cool. There's some good monsters in here.
Right, we got a little bit of classics, and then like some new ones. Like I'm pretty sure, like we got our classic Gadabout, the little butterfly wings from the Spelljammer classic Monstrous Companion. But like some new stuff, like the Goon Balloon, just like a wacky evil monster. I love it. That was my favorite from the.
I love the Goon Balloon. I also like they've really leaned into the wacky, again, Pulp, Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, the Fractine. Looking at the art for this, it's like a beholder trapped in like a 2-dimensional pane of glass, just like flying,
like from Superman 2.
Kneel before Zod!
It's an amazing throwback. I love it. I think it's just rad as hell. So I'm super excited about the monsters.
I'm looking for clues, Rob. I'm a Spelljammer detective, and
That's
in the
fine.
art for the asteroid spider, it looks like it's eating a ship.
It
ship
does.
That could be a Spelljammer, and I hope you notice, Rob, that this Spelljammer looks hella different than the ships I made you look at for a long time in my Spelljammer campaigns or when we reviewed that book.
This is a distinctly new Spelljammer design, if it is a Spelljammer. It's wooden, it's got sails, it looks like a little bit of a cross between a sailing ship and a Zeppelin. It's got big Treasure Planet vibes in my estimation. I'm interested. I'm with Matt here. I think we might be getting some new Spelljammer designs. I would not hate that.
I wouldn't hate it either. I mean, some of the goofy ones in the original are like fun and goofy, but I don't know. Do you really want to have a whole campaign on a ship that looks like a squid? Maybe you do. Why does it have a sail then? I don't know.
No.
I did notice that on the DM screen, some of the classic Nyogi, if you remember those weird
I do remember the
eel
Nyogi
spiders, made it back. And of
love
course,
them.
we've got the classic Illithid Nautiloid, which is a design that will stand the test of time and be with us forever. But yeah, so I thought that was interesting. I'm like, oh, could we get a little more like sleek Spelljammer design? Like maybe it's like airtight. It looks like a fantasy submarine.
It does, yeah. I'm interested. I'm interested to see what they come up with. I like the old designs, but they're very much a product of their time, and there's no reason why we couldn't have some new art, new designs. There's one area where there's plenty, in my opinion, of design space is fantasy ships, fantasy Spelljammers. Give us a whole book, Wizards. We don't need more subclasses. We don't need more monsters. Well, we do need more monsters, but definitely could use more ships or Spelljammers. Give us a whole damn book. I'll buy it.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got an adventure and a player's guide, too. We also got, like, a cool little trailer. I will mention in the trailer, it did look like they're just floating around on a normal Spelljammer galleon, which is just a sailing ship floating in space. Nothing cool about it.
Yep.
See, what Spelljammers need, and I'm very about this, is they need, and they've done this with some of their arts in the past, is they need radial masts, right? They either need 4 or 3 masts because they're going in 3 dimensions. Give us more masts. Anyway.
More masts. I like that.
I'm the only one who cares about this.
I care. I care about the masts. It's important. Okay. What else do we want to say about Spelljammer? Obviously, we only have a little bit to go on. Looks great. Very excited. Adventures in space.
I've got a couple other things to say. I mean, so we're getting all the new races. We're getting the Thri-Kreen, which are both in Spelljammer and in Dark Sun. Doesn't look like we have psionics, so they just have the telepathy power, which we've seen before. We're getting the Hadazee, the deck apes.
I love the apes. I love the apes.
We've got our apes. We've got our official GIF, and we've got plasmoids,
I
which
also love
both
the
look
GIF.
great.
I love my big, beautiful space hippo boys. I love them so much.
And I'm super glad we're getting a again, that's actually, if maybe let's say there's a couple feats and maybe a couple spells and a couple, I don't know, what have yous. That's only like 4 or 5 races. The player's book is 64 pages. So I'm guessing we are getting a significant amount of Spelljammer ship rules and ships. So, I mean, that's something to look forward to. We have an adventure, right? As opposed to really much of, I think, setting details. That's my prediction, right? So we have a full 64-page adventure. If I'm like, what's missing in this box set? There's no like Dungeon Master's Guide to spell jamming, right? And so I think they're just kind of leaning into take whatever home campaign you have, take whatever Forgotten Realms or Kryn or Greyhawk campaign and just add some Spelljammers to it, right? Let your players flit around on a Spelljammer, right? There's probably not going to be too much Spelljammer specific stuff, which, is a little disappointing because after you do the opening adventure, maybe there's some world stuff in there. There's not like a Spelljammer world, which this original Spelljammer box set gave us with the Astromundi cluster and a GM book about like what's going on. What are the factions of the Crystal Spheres and Wild Space? So I don't know if we'll get, will we see the return of the, I can't even remember their name yet. The people who are against slavery or the chained men or,
all the deep Spelljammer stuff.
Yeah. Probably not.
I mean, according to the announcement and the trailer, it's exactly like Matt said. It's designed to sort of connect, maybe theoretically, the Forgotten Realms, Eberron, Kryn. Maybe go between if you want to spell jam from one place to another, which is good. Actually, I like that. I am also with Matt on this, though. It would be awesome to have some Spelljammer specific locations, setting information. We'll probably get some, but it doesn't seem like there's going to be a lot of room for a lot of the cool stuff that was in the original Spelljammer setting. But maybe later. I don't know. I'm going to reserve judgment. Maybe a lot of that's in the adventure book, but we'll see.
Yeah. Not to be too negative of Nancy. If I had to pick between the two, personally, I would love a 64-page book of Spelljammer specific factions and locations and new crystal spheres for you to explore. However, the better decision is to make a 64-page adventure book. I mean, that's better for everyone on this planet. But
it is.
So I'm excited for the adventure. I may actually run this adventure like as soon as it comes out and let you know how. Oh, the other thing is, I guess we're getting like some Spelljammer miniatures and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, who the fuck cares? But yeah, we can get those if you want.
Somebody cares. I don't know. We'll see. I don't hate a miniature, but
the last thing I have to say is about Spelljammer is, and I guess they just did this as a teaser, right? To like, hey, buy the Spelljammer box set. Look at all the cool fucking monsters we came up with. Is we got these 10 free monsters that Rob and I were just talking about. I was looking over, we'll talk more about this in a little while, D&D Beyond, but like the number of free things beyond the basic rules is now up to like 3, right? This is the 3rd one, and by far the most substantial, and it's just 10 monsters.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane how little free stuff Wizards has released since 5th edition.
Very little free stuff.
I mean, why wouldn't you like? I mean, I just feel like for every 10 monsters you release, you're gonna have another billion people buy your book. I don't know. I'm not Mr. Businessman. I'm Mr. Newsman. But
that's right. That's
still,
right.
It's just like
we're Jeff Newsroom over here. We're not Jeff
We're just regular NBC. We're not CNBC.
That's right. Listen. That's right.
This isn't the hot box with
this isn't Jim Cramer, right? We're just talking about the news itself. So yeah, I don't know. I agree with you. They've got so 5th edition has long since surpassed the place where you can reasonably keep up with everything. And to Wizards' credit, unlike all previous editions, they did not trap themselves with too many character options or subclasses or whatever. It has not become so bloated. The rules for official play are pretty simple, a book plus 1 or whatever, so that, it doesn't get out of hand. But that's exactly the point. They should release some of that shit for free. They give the people, throw us a bone, Wizards. Right. What you think that people are? You think you're gonna make a shit ton of money from selling? What was the first book to come out?
Was it Princes of the Apocalypse or
Rise right? That's a great adventure, but what are you gonna lose for
Princes of the Apocalypse? Is not.
It's okay. Sorry, it's a fine adventure. It's an okay adventure. What are you gonna lose by either making that free or dropping the price down to $10? What do you lose by making the monster manual or the DM guide? I don't know.
Oh, wait,
I'm also not Mr. Business. I don't. The thing is that Paizo makes a lot of their stuff readily available or cheap PDFs, right? Full price books, cheap PDFs. Yeah, okay, Paizo isn't a multi-billion-dollar company, but they're doing pretty well. I don't think that the model is unsustainable. I don't know.
Rob, my business gears are clanking here, and I'm slowly forming a thought, which brings us to another news item,
right.
Which is, what if the fact that they gave 10 things for free on D&D Beyond is because Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, now owns D&D Beyond. They bought it for $47 billion from Fandom. So Wizards owns D&D Beyond, so maybe now they're like, okay, now that we own it, let's put some free stuff on there.
$146 million, Matt. I'm sorry.
That's exactly what I said.
I think you were joking, but I was like, hold on a second.
Yes, D&D Beyond, more than Twitter. Honestly, D&D Beyond, way more useful of a website than tweeter.com.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If one of those went away tomorrow, I could tell you which one I would miss more quickly, But yeah, no, D&D Beyond got acquired. And here's the wild thing is that I think most people didn't even know that D&D Beyond was not owned by or officially, I guess it was officially associated with Wizards.
Yes,
but
officially,
but it was not. I'm sorry, I gripe about this all the time because I'm not, Mr. Business, but I do think I understand some things. And the fact that Wizards has failed up until this point to create their own app, documentation, website, Roll20 knockoff is just absolute malpractice. I say this all the time. I cannot believe that they have somehow until now failed to do so. So I guess this is somebody, somebody at Wizards or somebody above them at Hasbro was like, hold on a sec, there's an opportunity here. So this is, I don't know. Actually, I don't really care about this.
Actually, no. Here,
it could go either way. It could be good or it could be bad. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. And I'll tell you why it doesn't matter is because, well, it will matter for us. And will we ever when you buy a book, will you get it on D&D Beyond for free? Which is all that I think anyone wants.
It's the only thing anybody cares about.
Or if you buy the book, you can get it on D&D Beyond for $5.
A discounted PDF, yeah.
Or if you want to buy it on D&D Beyond, it should cost a huge fraction of what it costs to buy a print book because it literally costs them nothing to give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anyway, D&D Beyond, right, was created under Curse LLC, which was then acquired by Twitch, which was then sold by, so then it was Amazon. It was then sold by Twitch to Fandom Incorporated, which is the former Wikia business, which was owned and created by Jimmy Eat World Wales, who, just took all the code that everyone had made for him on Wikipedia and then used it to take over every video game, novel, movie series, fandom website and turn it into a terrible adscape. So if I want to look up
dog shit, every Wikia is just it crashes my phone, crashes my computer. They're awful. Unlike Wikipedia, which is a great website which functions and loads quickly and doesn't, cause my computer to light on fire. But yeah, I don't know. It's a massive mega empire which apparently it no longer owns D&D Beyond. Now
I just want to look up the name of that Sith Lord on Wikipedia who was the one from that created the holocron, and now I don't know because I was going to say the name of it, but Exar Kun. Thank you, Rob. I should have just asked. You should just ask me. Yeah. I want to know the name of Exar Kun. Embarrassingly, this was only a month ago.
I mean, I'm not proud that I knew exactly who you were talking about within half a second, but yeah, no, I mean. This sounds like some Cohen, who should feel more shame? The man who had to look up the name of Exar Kun on Wikipedia? Or the man who knew it without looking it up, which whom amongst them is more shamed?
But I mean, it's such a terrible wiki. I'm sure the people who made D&D Beyond, and in fact, we know several of them because they do cool interviews and stuff, are really great people, and they've programmed a okay website for looking up.
So here's the thing: D&D
rules.
Beyond, it's not perfect, but it's searchable. It functions. It has the tools are neat. I like the character builder and the encounter builder. They all work pretty okay. I like being able to sort of easily navigate through different sections of the books. Again, spent a lot of time online, and there are a lot of dog shit websites out there. And D&D Beyond is mainly the problem is how much everything fucking costs. The website itself is pretty decent. Again, not like the fandom wikis, which are. Sorry, a tangent here.
So this is just the thing that I was thinking about is Wikia is there are a lot of bad businesses out there, but this was absolutely the worst. They took work that just stupid fans and nerds like you and I had done on usually fan hosted websites, and they just fucking took them over and then filled them with autoplay video ads so that if I want to look up Exar Kun, I can't. It's what a terrible business. Jimmy Wales, I'm not giving you any. Well, I will still donate to Wikipedia, but not when Jimmy Wales asks me.
No, when anybody else asks. No, I could tell you how many times I've seen Mr. Beast talk to me about something because I'm trying to look up some shit for Elden Ring, and there's an autoplay ad, and I cannot.
They took over Wowpedia. Remember Wowpedia?
I do remember. Well, I remember Curse. Curse used to be it used to own the wikis, but it also used to run the add-ons that you needed to play World of Warcraft because the game didn't give you the tools that you needed to raid properly because it was too fucking complicated. This is how old we are. We remember when Curse used to sell or manage add-ons for World of Warcraft. Anyway, now you all know about the history of fandom.llc.
Honestly, actually, I'm taking everything I said back. It's Fandom Incorporated, not LLC.
Sorry.
And honestly, it's the perfect American business.
Honestly,
it did nothing. It stole from every part of itself, the in product and the infrastructure. And now it's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, I'm sure.
It's the perfect business. It required nothing except, I don't know, branding, buying the right domain names, and they pay probably no labor costs because everybody who edits
cutting and pasting. They cut and paste from fan wikis to their wikis, and that's all they have to do.
The
because the fans
they get people to
Feist's Rift War saga couldn't afford the hosting rights for their own wikia. Now it's on whatever fandom. Honestly, we need to reach out to these people. They would be the perfect sponsor for Dungeon Master of None. Rob and I are shopping for sponsors. And
that's right. If you want to sponsor Dungeon Master of None, we're in the market. Listeners, I'll let you know that we were actually already approached by one sponsor. I'm not going to tell you who because I think that would be a violation, but it has to do with men's nether regions. And I want you to know that we are principled, and so we said no. Also, they weren't going to fucking pay us. They just wanted us to do an ad read for nothing, for maybe free product. Disrespectful, honestly.
Yeah, incredibly disrespectful. Anyway, in sum, WotC now owns D&D Beyond, so hopefully they will like cave to pressure of fans or the market and like have a better system for having both the digital and print copies of their books. A thing people want. I want to have all the spells in the spell finder, but I also want to have the print book. I don't want to pay, but no one is going to pay for the book twice. Like, they've got to realize that. And also release some free stuff like every fucking month. You could do it. You're making enough money. It would make the game like living and vibrant. Oh, did you see some new adventures?
I'm putting down a token now. It's gonna get it's not. They're not gonna do any of those things, and they're gonna do something worse. They're going to offer TTRPG as a service, Matt. They're going to offer a subscription.
Well, D&D Beyond already has that.
They're going to offer an even more expensive subscription, and they're going to pump it up and release a bunch of horseshit that nobody wants, and they're also going to make all of the things that you should own DRM, and yeah, they're gonna crank up what D&D Beyond already has to 11, and they're gonna call it TTRPG as a service because that'll make investors horny, and that's what they want.
Well, speaking of tokens, they also came out with a creature cling set token at D&D Direct, which I rather like. It's like, hey, little flat tokens. You can paste creatures and then unpaste them. You can also just buy a set of poker chips for like $2 and do the same thing yourself by printing off the thing. But, if you want it like to look nice.
Pathfinder, or it's not just Pathfinder's things, but Pathfinder's still done the best version of this. It was just like a big box full of like cardboard stand-ups and bases. Like it didn't, I don't know. In a perfect world where I have infinite space and infinite money, I would love to have beautiful painted miniatures for everything. But in a vacuum, paper or cardboard, little like stand-ups that you press into a base are perfect.
I think
you don't need anything more complicated than that.
Dungeon masters who use miniatures want maybe miniatures for their player characters and like 2 NPCs per campaign, and cardboard tokens or stands or what have you for everything else.
Yeah. And yeah, maybe I shelled out for a Lord of Blades mini.
Oh.
I ordered this from eBay
that's a classic. That's from way back when.
Yeah, because
that's a rare find.
And I love him, but I was like, I need a mini for like the final boss of my campaign. But like generally, I'm like, a couple for your big bads, for your players, and then everything else can just be, whatever.
Speaking of things that are not miniatures, should we talk about
beautiful segue? Dragonlance also confirmed. This one I was a lot more confident in. They've been really, really pushing, teasing this for a while, so I'm not. We
sort of knew it was coming because of the lawsuit, right?
Yeah.
Episode,
episode question.
Dragonlance, law episode, Dragon Law.
That's right.
Episode,
Dungeon Law episode. We'll link it in the show notes so you know. But yeah, so we knew this was coming, but confirmed. There's a new UA.
Well, all that was shown in the D&D Direct is a trailer with an amazing like voiceover from the actor who plays the Secretary General in The Expanse. I forget her name, but
Avasarala?
Yeah, Undersecretary Avasarala, who's always telling
pretty
people
sure she's
to
full
fuck
secretary.
off.
I think she's general secretary by the end.
Okay, spoilers.
Sorry. Shoren Agdashalu, I think is her name. She's got a fucking phenomenal voice. So good get.
All-time top 10 voices in the
top
human
10
experience.
Voice. Yeah.
Especially in The Expanse when she tells people to like fuck off and like,
fuck off,
suck
yeah,
her
go fuck
balls
yourself.
and,
Yeah.
and she's like dressed in her like diplomatic finery.
It's easy to forget.
With all due respect, madam, where are you going with this?
Wherever I goddamn like.
Yeah,
It's so good.
she's fucking rules. Watch The Expanse. It's great.
Anyway, so we saw the trailer. It didn't really tell us anything about the Dragonlance book, but we know we're getting it. And this was kind of crazy. They announced that they're doing a board game with the book. That
Battle
could-
game.
Battle game, right? So it's like a battle for mass combat. And the designers have said in an interview that they're like, you can translate your RPG characters to this battle. And it's by the guy who did like Pandemic Legacy, right? It's the
Okay.
Legacy guy
Okay.
itself. I forget his fucking name, but you know, I
So
don't know.
he knows board game design. Okay, all right.
Exactly. Yeah, I think he has a studio that does like lots of board games, including like revamping old board games. So that seems like a perfect get for something like this. I mean, honestly, to me, that sounds amazing. A board
That sounds
game that
cool
you
to
could
me.
Translate your role playing game characters to, and then maybe add some legacy elements to it. That sounds kind of neat.
I'm always skeptical of everything that was.
Would
just
it
doing.
work? Who
But
knows?
But it sounds cool. I'm interested to see what they come up with. It sounds really cool. It sounds genuinely pretty rad. If it does what they say it's going to do, that would be very cool.
Do you want to talk about this Unearthed Arcana, which was honestly is not so much breaking news. It was from a little while ago. There's a revamp of the Kinder. There's a bunch of backgrounds that give feats and spells. There's a bunch of feats that are all more powerful than regular feats. And they kind of said, hey, like the Dragonlance feats and stuff and backgrounds, they're going to be more powerful than regular for the epic Dragonlance War characters, which I'm, fine with.
I'm fine with. I mean, yeah, I don't think I have anything to add. Kender have the.
They got rid of their like anything to do with stealing, which honestly, I know like fans of the novel will be like, that's what the Kinders do. They love to steal. They don't think possessions belong to anyone. Like, that's just shit is so annoying at a game.
It's
I've
so
never had
annoying.
anyone do it in a fun way.
It's also like.
So.
It's also like one of those things that like somehow without like being even like vaguely attached to any like real world race somehow still feels racist. It's just like, oh, the Kender, they just like to steal. They're you can't, we gotta watch yourself around those Kender. It's just like, I don't know, man. It's just feels like how people talk about other real life people, and I don't like it. So I guess I'm glad that they got rid of that. I don't know, man.
And anything that
I'm not
encourages players to steal from their fellow party members is bad. Let me tell you, like, from running lots and lots of games now with my students who are 99% of them are completely like new to any trope of role-playing games or most fantasy, right? When someone tries to steal from someone else, it upsets everyone. Like there's
never
no
fun.
baggage they're bringing into this. Everyone just hates this.
Everyone hates it. You don't need to be conditioned to hate it. It's just unfun for everybody. Anyway, Kender are annoying. I'm sorry. I'm not the biggest Dragonlance fan. I don't like hate it, but like I did not love the Kender characters, and so I'm completely ambivalent on this particular UA. But I am really interested to see what the new stuff looks like, the new battle game, the new books, the new adventure. The big like dragon war setting is a cool setting. I am pro the sort of like Dragonlance overworld campaign. So I'm very curious to see what they come up with.
Right. If you're like, okay, we're leaning into the strengths of Dragonlance. Dragonlance is going to be about a giant, campaign setting wide war between the forces of X and Y. And the players are caught in between it, doing things kind of Lord of the Rings or like the original novels, going from place to place, rallying people to the sides, doing some quests, then leading troops in battle. That's a, cool idea for the campaign setting. That doesn't doesn't work super well with like Eberron or Forgotten Realms all of the time, right?
Right.
Because those are settings where, you know, there's about other things.
Right.
So if they could do that right, I would really enjoy it, especially if they could. I mean, the main problem with the original Dragonlance campaign setting and original Dragonlance campaign is it's one of the worst things ever written. And if anyone ever plays it, not because of like the prose or the encounter design, it's because you are literally following the heroes of the novel around and like tying up loose ends. There is nothing fucking worse than you could ever imagine. It is the most railroad of railroads. It is a, you know, it is a product that is cursed. And I hope no one has ever played it. I don't know if anyone has. If you have, send me a message. I would love to talk to you and see how your brain has become like gotten holes in it from having that experience.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I'm interested to see what they do with Dragonlance. I don't hate it. I'm definitely more excited about it than I am about any new Forgotten Realms setting stuff. So, and if they do the grand campaign, if they do like mass combat in an interesting way, that would be something. That would be unique and new, because lots of D&D books have tried, but I don't know. None of them have gotten it right yet. So a campaign that focuses on that and does a good job with it, that would be something. I'd be really interested. So I'm cautiously optimistic about that.
I'm optimistic too. Yeah, sure. I mean, I wish, man, when they revised the Kinder, they got rid of like the annoying like stealing stuff and the extra dimensional pockets that the earlier UA has. But now they are immune to the frightened condition, which, if you remember from the base rules, halflings have advantage on like brave, right? They have advantage. Like,
Yeah.
First off, it's just better than the halfling. But second off, like, I don't think it's as interesting to give base, especially species, straight up immunities. I would rather you give them a cool advantage, like getting advantage on something, as opposed to your blanket, you're just immune to this one thing and no one else is. Oh, I mean, the other thing is, since we brought up now Spelljammer and Dragonlance, and since it's been actually, you know, a little bit of time since the release of this announcement, both the original, like, kind of lead designer of Spelljammer, Jeff Grubb, and, like, Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman have both been like, hey, no one consulted us about this. And I'm like, oh, okay, like, I'm sorry. Like, one group of you were in a lawsuit with Wizards nigh a year ago. I don't think you're going to write a campaign setting. None of them have really written like an RPG stuff in the like last 2 decades. The last thing Weiss and Hickman wrote for Dragonlance, like for 3rd edition, that was an unlicensed or a licensed like product, was dog shit. I mean, they're both like, Jeff Grubb like writes computer game. He like writes for Guild Wars too. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I mean, I would feel bad for you maybe if you didn't have another job.
Yeah,
but
I mean, yeah, I've no dog in this fight in any direction. I don't know. I'm having trouble like mustering any outrage about.
No, I don't think there's any outrage to be had here.
Yeah. So,
I mean, these things were always created as like a wizard property.
Right.
Both of them. None of them have designed a single thing for 5th edition. Like, I would feel completely differently. I know you would too, if like they released a new Eberron book without at least consulting with Keith Baker.
Right.
Because he is churning out excellent shit like all the time and writing for 5th edition. I mean, I guess that's the difference, right?
Okay. What else we got on the news reel?
All right, let me everyone just pause for a second and imagine that spinning newspaper we all know and love. It spins around and it comes to a stop on, let's see, I don't know, there's like some weirdo Magic player keeps saying that like Hasbro should spin off Wizards of the Coast, and he's like trying to rally investors. This is going nowhere, by the way. I just thought it was amusing.
I
to bring
remember
up.
seeing this. He wants to buy it, or he wants to like put together a consortium to buy Wizards.
It's one of those ideas of like some guys like, listen, I don't have the money or the expertise. Yes, I've never been a CEO or a CFO. No, I don't have $1 billion in capital. However, I got the idea. And here's my idea.
He's an ideas
like,
man.
Yeah, it's like anyone who has lived around the real world.
What do you
tell
think the
that's
valuation
completely
of-
useless.
What do you think
It's
the
completely
valuation
useless
of
to be an idea.
Wizards is? You think?
I mean, it's impossible to tell. It's a part of a company, but it's got to be billions and billions. If they're like actual like operating profit, as they suggested, was in the their actual revenue was in the billions of dollars last year, right? I forget what the number was.
It was like just over $1 billion, right?
Yeah, just over $1 billion. I can't imagine the cost of their like one office building in Washington is anything compared to that $1 billion revenue. Yeah, I mean, it seems like this guy is like some kind of, I don't know, like Magic player who got bitter, which I've known a lot of Magic players from going to a lot of local gaming stores. And a Magic player who got bitter is like the worst person I could ever imagine to put in charge of anything.
Absolutely.
Like I had a friend who was like, "Oh yeah, I'm not going to play at that store anymore. Like these are the reasons why their tournament rulings are wrong." I'm like, "God damn, man, you got to let this shit go."
This Magic guy probably cannot afford to buy it, even if Hasbro did want to sell for some reason.
Right.
Elon Musk could buy it. What if we convince Elon Musk, instead of buying Twitter, to buy Wizards of the Coast? Here's the thing. I'm comfortable making this joke because he hasn't shown any interest whatsoever in tabletop games. He's bitched about Netflix. He's bitched about Twitter. And I don't know, like he's like the most boring form of geek, but I don't think he's ever played a tabletop game because that would require him to interact with other human beings like on an
like
equal footing.
an equal level. Yeah, like as a normal, not treating them as like weird peons or test subjects. Okay, we can fix what you just said, Rob. Every dungeon master in the world listens to our show as
That's right. That's right.
Because this is the Dungeon Master Talk Show. So it is now all of our duties. Everyone listen up. Never run a game for Elon Musk. Right? Just never do it.
Never do it.
Problem solved.
Don't let Elon Musk. Do let Grimes play in your games, but don't let Elon Musk ever play in any of your games. It's your civic duty as a dungeon master. All right, we're getting off the rails. What other? Those are the big pieces of news. What else have we got to talk about?
There's
the D&D movie. It has a subtitle: Honor Among Thieves.
Amongst Thieves.
Not amongst.
It is officially set in the Forgotten Realms. I think in Neverwinter. The Lord of Neverwinter is a plot point. A Red Wizard is a plot point. The party is, I think, Rogue, Barbarian, Druid, and Wizard, which is a nice party composition.
It's good.
We know Chris Pine is the
party.
rogue.
The party composition in the OG movie was Fighter, Rogue, Barbarian, Wizard,
Ranger.
Ranger.
Then a second rogue.
And a second rogue. That's right. That's right. Sorry, there was one fighter, two rogues, sometimes a wizard and a ranger. That's right. So yeah, much more balanced party this time around.
Well, who knows? They may throw in a second rogue. Your party could always use the second rogue.
Always in the rogue. Here's the thing. It's got Chris Pine, Hugh Grant, Michelle Rodriguez, Justice Smith, and Regé-Jean Page, our handsome Bridgerton boy. I mean, I don't know. Okay, well, listen, we saw a quote from
it's
Chris Pine.
and it's helmed by the dorky guy from Bones, who was also in Freaks and Geeks, sitting around that D&D table. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, we saw a quote from Chris Pine that made it sound bad, but
I think he said something along the lines of like, it's very much like Game of Thrones with a little bit of Monty Python and like Willow. It was just like listing fantasy movies.
He referenced Monty Python, and I was like, oh no, that's not actually a good sign.
I mean, no one wants the D&D movie to be 1,000% serious. Obviously.
No.
I'm not saying that. It's just, Monty Python is a very specific
It's a
form
specific kind of humor
that only works completely by itself, not in
done
combination with
by
anything else.
the Monty Python crew. It doesn't really work with... I don't know. Anyway, who knows? We'll see. It's supposed to come out March of next year, so if we're still alive in March of next year, we'll let you know what we think.
And I think you've been following this more closely than I have. Speaking of things that are being produced in the D&D name that cost by themselves more money than every tabletop book ever made, Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, I'm not like the biggest fan, like the world's biggest fan, but I am a very, very big Baldur's Gate fan. I have sunk countless hours into the original 2 and their expansions. I love them. I am excited about Baldur's Gate 3, which is in early access or something.
It's been in early access for a very long time.
And the thing is that these days I just don't buy anything until it's... This isn't true. I'm a liar. I try not to buy anything until it's done. So I have not tried...
What did you buy early access? Did you buy the Dune game early access?
I bought the Dune game. I haven't played it yet.
How did I know? How did I know?
I bought the Dune game. But yeah, no, sorry. I'm a sucker for a Dune game. But I'm excited for Baldur's Gate 3. A bunch of people have played it. I haven't heard anything about it, which is neither good nor bad. That nobody has said, wow, this is terrible. Nobody has said, wow, Baldur's Gate 3 is so good, even in early access, you should go play it. It is taking a long time to develop. I don't like this whole thing of, here's a game that's almost finished, go play it. I'm just going to wait until it's done. Okay. So,
all right, that's fair. Let's not review things until they're out. That's fine.
Specifically with it's specifically with things that I have a lot of investment in, and Baldur's Gate 3 I have a lot of investment in. So I'm just going to wait until someone's like, it's great, go play it, it's done. But yeah, they're spending a lot of money on producing it. So
just a question: did you play the studio that's making it? Because of course it's not BioWare because it's combusted. It's some Belgian studio that made the Divinity.
It's Larian. That's right. No, I did not play. People are gonna get mad at me. I did not play Divinity: Original Sin. People say it's good. Yeah. I have not had a chance to play it. People say it's great though. Did you play Divinity?
No, of course not.
A bunch of our friends played Divinity.
When do I have time to sink into like a 50-hour?
You have time to run a D&D adventure every single day at lunch multiple times. You could be gaming during that time, Matt.
Yes, I could. Just imagine walking in on in your teacher's classroom, like, hey, Mr. Whiskey, can I turn in some revision to my essay? You're deep in gaming. There's some weird cutscene where a dragon is talking to a dwarf. And you're just like, as a high school, I feel like you'd be like, I just don't want to be alive anymore. This is too much for me.
You're describing something that almost definitely happens every single day.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway.
All across America, teenagers are walking in on their teachers gaming.
It's shameful. It's shameful.
It is shameful. It's bad. We should feel bad about it. Speaking of feeling bad, God, let's talk about, there's just...
We're gonna focus because there's a lot of things to talk about. We'll cover these other things. I want to spend the rest of our time talking about the last thing on the D&D Direct.
Oh,
because
sure.
Because I think we need to discuss this because it fills me with despair, and that is that, and this is what Mr. Chris Cox, CEO, said about D&D, about potential future expansion.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
There's a lot of international growth vectors we can do, Cox said. There's a lot of new exclusive content we can do. You know, we've talked a lot about universes beyond in Magic. This is capitalized, universes beyond. Right. Which is this concept of thinking about Magic as a play system and bringing in outside brands or outside IP into that play system. We see potential for that with D&D as well, and we think D&D Beyond can be a primary hub for that. So, Matt, what do you think about that?
What does this mean?
What does this mean?
Okay, well, so we know with Magic, like, I'm just trying to get into Mr. Business's head here. We know with Magic, this means basically buying a license from, let's say, Warhammer 40K.
Walking Dead, Lord of the Rings. These are the things they've already done. Yeah.
And then printing some cards with it, right? And then making, or maybe a set with it, right? And then making money over the fact that people are excited by Walking Dead Magic cards. I'm not sure what the fuck he means for D&D, because like you can license or you can make a 5th edition version of Warhammer 40K or The Walking Dead. Like people have already done that for a bunch of other things. Like we were just,
I think
one of the
maybe
other things
it means
was our list was like Free League's making one with the Blade Runner, and I think it's 5th edition or something. Or
but that's
Dark
D20,
Souls.
That's D20 Modern, right? Like
Okay.
that's a, you know, OGL.
No, sorry, the Free League is not a 5th edition game. But like we were talking about this, it's their own Free League system. But we were talking about this with the Dark Souls game, right?
Right.
You can do this.
But those are stripped down, you know, OGL license games. Not that that matters or anything, but you know, these would be Wizards branded Stranger Things, you know, adventure sets or something like that. And my concern,
well, that, as you said, doesn't sound like the worst idea.
That doesn't sound like the worst
Stranger Things. I mean, I'm sure you could pick some other license that sounds much worse.
I mean, I give me 5 seconds and I can come. I already came up with one. Vampire Diaries themed Dungeons and Dragons, you know, box set.
I mean, I would love to play a Vampire Diaries role-playing game, just not with 5th edition. Anything but 5th
but that's exactly what I'm saying, Matt, is they're going to snap up every single IP that they can get for cheap, and they're going to slap D&D on it, and they're going to throw it out there, and the shelves are just going to be... Here's the thing. They're just going to flood the shelves with crap. And you know what this will mean is that we're never really going to get a new edition. We're never going to really get any, like, new innovations. We're going to be stuck with sort of this god-awful, stapled-together framework for the rest of our lives. It's going to be the unity of TTRPGs. It's going to be just this, you know, the Unreal Engine of tabletop role-playing games, except not good. And the only way I can see this happening is that it sucks. The only way that I can imagine this turning out is just going to be awful.
Okay, let me play the Archon to your
be the Archon to my Demiurge. Or sorry, yeah.
So, like, in another way, this could mean, right? Basically, just like trying to find some fucking brand synergy and actually like the plane shift shit they released for the lackadaisical first year of D&D 5th edition, where they're like, oh, here's a Zendikar PDF that's 10 pages long and has almost nothing. Like, yeah, they could really lean into the Magic the Gathering synergy, and then, you know, maybe bring in some other like fantasy realms to make a D&D product with them. And at the end of the day, the people running D&D understand that 5th edition doesn't work for every type of game. Like, they do understand that you can't make a Vampire Diaries 5th edition role-playing game and it be any fun, or it being able to tell the type of stories that you would want to tell, right? Like, I gotta believe that, like, you know, Chris Perkins and the other folks who are actually writing the game, who have to write this shit, right, understand this, right? I know they understand this, right? So, like, yeah, might it mean we get some more, like, expanded adventure books set in an IP? Like, that's what Hasbro's about. It's like buying an IP or owning an IP and licensing shit to make toys or board games, right? That's what they
Okay.
know.
Okay.
So, like, I don't know. I think it could be not that bad. They also have to realize, and this was like another random bit of news we had, is like, there is just like a glut of like 5th edition licensed stuff, right? We saw that like a company's making a Pacific Rim 5th edition, right? And it's just like, no, don't play Pacific Rim game in 5th edition. Play it in anything else and it will be awesome. We love Pacific Rim. Don't play it in 5th edition, right?
Yeah, I know. This is a travesty. I love Pacific Rim, and this is not how you should... Honestly, Pacific Rim might work better as, like, a rules light, like, Fate system or something.
Oh, it would absolutely work.
Like, it actually should not be, like, very, like, combat heavy or combat focused. That actually doesn't make any fucking sense for Pacific Rim. It should be entirely on your feelings and the feelings that you have with your co-pilot.
Right. The only two things that matter are the feelings for your co-pilot and punching monsters. We could write a one-page Pacific Rim RPG, and it would rock. Like that's really all you need. Feelings and kaiju, John Harper.
Feelings and kaiju.
Go ahead and do this for us, please. And the funny thing about this like licensed Pacific Rim, and there was 100 other ones that I think it was Evil Genius Games, and God help me if I got that game company wrong. Sorry.
I think that's right. I think it's Evil Genius.
It was like, it's all a D20 modern reboot, but for 5th edition, and then like the specific class for Pacific Rim is twins. Like that's not what's special about Pacific Rim. Is that twins? Is like it's that his twin died. That was a motivating factor of one. Anyway, it blew my mind. But I don't know, Rob. You're right that this like. Something in Wizards is sensing the market. Like, the Kickstarters are getting bigger. The Avatar one was just insanely huge for a license powered by the Apocalypse game. Free League is announcing they're doing a Kickstarter for a Blade Runner licensed game using, I'm sure, a version of their own, Free League system. Yeah, so it's like we're in branding licensing age. A new age has dawned. The age of Aquarius is here.
That's right.
And it's about licensing.
The old regime is dying, Matt, and the new one struggles to be born.
Now is the time of the monster manual.
Now is the time of the monster manual. All right, that seems like a good place to call it. There's more news.
I mean, I want to end on a positive note.
Okay.
Because that got pretty dark. Okay, sure, whatever, branding, I don't know. You and I know that for most brands, like we'd rather play an original setting where there's still interesting stories to tell.
Right. We're cynical, but like, I don't know.
I'd rather play in a generic cyberpunk setting than Blade Runner, right? I already know.
Truthfully, yes.
If
let us make our
dream of electric sheep. I have the answer. The answer is yes.
Yes, they do. Give us the the base and let us add our own dressing. If that happens to be Blade Runner themed, great. But I don't want to buy a Blade Runner board game or TTRPG. I want to buy Cyberpunk and add Blade Runner elements. Yeah.
This is interesting and, ties it back to D&D and 5th edition and things being in 5th edition, but is maybe positive, is that Paizo announced that for one of their adventure paths, I think it's Abomination Vaults, they are converting it to 5th edition and publishing it as like a PDF and a hardcover. And I think from all signs, Pathfinder 2nd edition is doing great, right? Making them lots of money.
Yes. Actually, I want to talk about this in a new or an episode soon, but 2nd edition seems to be doing really well. Paizo is selling a lot. We've got a lot of players. They're getting a lot of attention. They're putting out some really good stuff. And it's unfortunate that we haven't had time to review it all like we do all Wizards releases, but Pathfinder is putting out some really good adventures, really good books, really good supplements,
world building books. Yeah. I mean, it's well, I think this is a good move for both Paizo. I don't think, some people are like, oh no, this must mean that like no one wants to play 2nd edition, but like they do all this work writing these really good, and not all of them are winners, right? Some of them are, replacement level adventures. Some of them are really brilliantly written published modules, though these campaign paths they've been doing now for over a decade. And I I think converting some of the 5th edition is a smart move. Like, it's basically written, right? You just have to do all the number stuff, which is, admittedly, a ton of work in like rules and layout and editing and balancing and playtesting. But a lot of the other work is already done, and people are still playing a Paizo book and a Paizo adventure path. And here's the deal, there's a lot of third-party 5th edition publishing out there, right?
Yeah.
And it's mostly like supplements and campaign settings and stuff like, and short adventures, right? Because that's all, like most people can do. But like a 200-page adventure, like the type that Wizards puts out or the type that Paizo puts out, is more rare, right? Mm-hmm. And I think people want that big adventure. And why not convert to 5th edition? People are going to play it, and some of them are going to ask for another one converted to 5th edition. Some will be like, yeah, maybe we should try 2nd edition. Play the next one in that. Pathfinder 2nd edition. Anyway,
yeah.
So I thought that was an interesting bit of news, and I hope they convert more of them. I hope they convert, some of my favorites. Just so more people will get to play them, because they're great adventures.
Yeah.
The Crimson Throne, people. Put in.
I mean, this is also edition. Like how they got their start is by doing D&D better than Wizards was at the time. And so
right, fucking Shackled City and Age of Worms in Dungeon Magazine are great adventure paths, and of course the first adventure paths, Rise of the Rune Lords and Second Darkness, were published for 3.5, not for Pathfinder. So because Pathfinder didn't exist yet, or it was in a beta test.
So I don't know. There is good news. I mean, here's the
a lot of this news was good, right? We
There's
just
a lot of
ended
good
on
news.
dark branding.
Sorry for getting
universe.
cynical.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you take nothing else away from this hour-long ramble, this is good, right? People are playing TTRPGs. People are buying them. More jobs, more creators are getting paid. There's more games being made. I just don't want to see it all get captured by lazy corporate cash grabs. It probably won't be, right? Gamers in general are recalcitrant and difficult, so good for you.
You only have to see how everyone shit on the Dark Souls, 5e book, which, looks like it had a lot of problems beyond just being 5e for Dark Souls.
Yeah. So anyway,
people
this
are
is
not going to put up with just lazy converts anymore.
I think, like we've, talked about plenty of times, really in like the middle of like a TTRPG renaissance. I think we both would like to see some of that wealth and opportunity spread out beyond 5th edition, beyond Wizards of the Coast. But honestly, in this case, for now, A Rising Tide does lift all boats, and it is good that we are getting a new movie, all these big releases, people are paying attention. So it's a good time. It's a good time to be a horrible nerd like us.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I want to see some data on whether Rising Tide does lift all boats, but I hope it does.
I hope it does. I hope it does. My gut tells me, yeah.
In the immediate future, we have a new compilation adventure coming out from Wizards of the Coast, Journey Through the Radiant Citadel, which all of the authors of the individual books are people of color. So that is a cool move. I'm glad Wizards did that, and I don't know. I'm looking forward to reviewing that one. Yeah,
we didn't mention it, but I'm really looking forward to reviewing that one. I can't wait till it comes out. I'm excited to see what they come up with. All right, everybody.
Well, that's the newsroom.
That's the news.
Signing off.
That's right.
That's the way the dice rolls. That's the way the hit points fall.
Thanks for listening. Stay healthy, stay safe, and keep rolling them dice.